Alright guys, let's continue with our discussion of case scenarios. So we're done with all the 25 questions as such the other day. Now, we have these smaller MCQs as such guys. We will quickly go through them as such guys. First page, it says, accounting standards for non-corporate entities in India are issued by guys. For non-corporate entities are issued by ICAI. For corporate entities are issued by MCA guys. Who makes recommendations to MCA? NFRA. The power as such beta has been given to NFRA as such guys. Who has to approve beta those accounting standards? MCA only. CG matlab beta Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Hi Anna guys. Central government beta works through ministries. So one of the ministries as such beta is Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Anna bhai. So anyways, but accounting standards guys, harmonize accounting policies and eliminate the non-comparability of financial statements, improve the reliability of financial statements. Of course, the answer is both A and B. Can the answer be D guys? It has to manipulate data for the management? No. It is essential to standardize the accounting policies and principles and policies guys for transparency, consistency and comparability. All of them better. Which committee is responsible for approval of accounting standards and their modification? Underline the word approval as such guys, that is why it is MCA. Had it been guys making recommendations as such, the answer would have been global standards as such guys facilitate cross-border flow of money, comparability of financial statements, uniformity and transparency. Why do we have international financial reporting standards guys? So that the financial performance of one entity beta can be compared with another entity and it's easier for investors as such guys to understand the financial performance of the entity. That is why the answer beta is all of these. Only if you comply with those international standards as such guys, it will be easier for you to get in more money from international investors. IFRS stands for, we already know, IASB, International Accounting Standards Board guys. Additional guidance given under Ind AS over and above what is given under IFRS are called as. I told you better that there are two things. One is carve out, the other one is carve in. There can be deviations from IFRS as such better, not resulting in carve out, deviations from IFRS resulting in carve out. What does that mean guys? If you are providing some other accounting treatment guys or some other disclosure than what is required by IFRS, we say that it is resulting in carve out. We are going against IFRS. If you are giving only one option guys and there are multiple options available under IFRS, there is a difference, but it is not resulting in carve out. Are we clear guys? Carve in ka matlab hota hai beta additional disclosures that are required under IFRS. We are complying with IFRS, but we are also giving additional disclosures as such beta under Ind AS. That is called as carve in. तीन चीजें याद रखना है, समझ में आ गया ना? Differences resulting in carve out, differences not resulting in carve out and carve in. Differences resulting in carve out matlab we are going against IFRS matlab we are providing a separate accounting treatment. I gave an example beta as how under IFRS beta, if purchase consideration is less than net assets, it is transferred to P&L account, but apne Ind AS mein beta it is transferred to capital risk. Purchase consideration less than net assets, amalgamation, we transfer it to capital reserve, they directly transfer it to P&L account. Now that's a difference resulting in carve out. Are we clear about this? Next, phase 1 beta, Ind AS applicability mein beta I told you first phases में implementation हुआ था बेटा for companies. From 1st April 2015 it was voluntary. From 1st April 2016 it was mandatory guys for listed or unlisted entities with a net worth of 500 crores or more. From 1st April 2017 as such guys it became mandatory for all other listed entities. Unlisted entities only if net worth is 250 crores or more. It cannot be less, it has to be more. 250 crores or more. This was phased implementation guys of Ind AS. Next, going concern concept assumes that the business. There are three fundamental accounting assumptions. We have going concern, consistency and accrual. What are the considerations better that you take into picture while selecting accounting policies? AS1, substance over legal form, materiality and prudence. These are the three secondary considerations. Primary consideration, the accounting policies that you are selecting should always result in true and fair view. Proud of you guys. So, यहाँ पे going concern beta assumes that the business will continue in operational existence for foreseeable future. Two principal qualitative characteristics we did the other day guys. क्या क्या किए थे बेटा? Understandability beta, relevance, reliability and कंपेरेबिलिटी. अब ऐसे चीजों में वो याद रखना जरूरी हो जाता है बेटा, because the options will be very close. Are we clear about this? I told you the other day beta also while explaining framework that please remember the side headings. All of the following are components of financial statements beta except. Now this is an ambiguous MCQ beta, please mark it. Second वाला भी mark करना because you will have to remember it. जो भी बेटा अलग है mark it so that you only revise those MCQs on the day of exam. पूरा सब देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. Revision के time 100%. On the day of exam is beta only the ones that you know that you might forget. Guys, social responsibility report guys is actually not a component of financial statement. It is to be presented guys along with the complete annual report. जो तुम लोग बोलते हैं बेटा Companies Act में don't you have to present CSR report? So that is what is that beta. There's nothing called as human responsibility report. But ये bit ICI SM में बेटा सदियों से आ रहा है and the answer has been marked as human responsibility report. Frankly speaking बेटा components of financial statements the other day we have learned in framework there are only 4 components. There is balance sheet, there is P&L statement, cash flow statement and notes to accounts. These are the only. And if it is as per Companies Act definition there's also statement of changes in equity. Are we clear guys? Please mark it because agar exam mein aaya, you're supposed to remember that answer is human responsibility report. There are 3 cases in which accounting policies can be changed. If it is required by another accounting standard, if it is required by statute, or it results in. So the answer is both A and B. Value of equity may change due to. Yesterday beta framework may we have done assets is equal to. Assets minus liabilities is equal to equity. So if this contribution from or distribution to equity participants, will the value of equity change? Yes. Hi Anna guys. If you're introducing more capital or if you're withdrawing money guys, obviously the amount of equity will change. If you're earning income, will your equity change? If you're incurring expenses, will your equity change? If you're buying an asset, no. Cash reduces, asset increases. There is no net impact as such guys on the amount of equity. Are we clear? Next beta, an item that meets the definition of an element of financial statement should be recognized. So basically when you say better definition of an element as such guys, they're talking about asset. If you go through the options, you will automatically know. When should you recognize asset? Excellent guys. Which one of the following is not considered as fundamental accounting assumption guys? Guys, please change option D beta and make that as consistency. अरे यार, पूरा का पूरा option D strike कर दो बेटा and make that as consistency. Someone please make a note guys of the changes and message me in the end. एक जना कोई करो. Bhagyashree is doing it. All right. Just message me in the end बेटा क्या क्या changes कर रहे document में. Applicability of AS बेटा अभी पढ़ाया था guys. Sorry हाँ. I only spoke about applicability of Ind AS. As far as applicability of accounting standards is concerned guys, we have learned better that there is classification of entities by MCA. Then there is classification of entities by ICAI. As per MCA beta, we have 2 classifications. One is non-SMC and SMC. An entity will be classified as non-SMC guys if it satisfies any one of the 5 conditions guys. First condition, it is listed or in the process of being listed. Second condition, financial institution, bank, nature of business के हिसाब से. Third one guys, turnover of the entity in the preceding financial year exceeds 250 crores. Then beta, borrowings of the entity at any time during the previous year exceeds 50 crores. Holding subsidiary of the above guys, joint venture of the above. Yes or no? Any of these 5 conditions are met, it will be a non-SMC guys, otherwise it will be an SMC. As per ICAI, what is covered in your syllabus for the time being, there are 4. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Once I complete this session, I'm going to explain about a new classification by ICAI, but that has not been introduced in our syllabus. Agar RTP में आया, I will send a message in the group that follow the revised explanation that I'm explaining. मतलब basically बेटा ICAI का classification became same as MCA. Only 2 classifications. You have non-SMEs and SMEs. Instead of using the word SME beta, they've used the word MSMEs. Medium, small and micro enterprises. So you have a non-MSME ऐसा beta and you have a MSME. Classification exact same है beta. There's no change. मतलब they have done away with the concept of level 2, level 3, level 4. But जो exemptions उनको देना था नीचे notes में दिए in case the turnover is less than 50 crores. मतलब they're still indirectly making reference to level 3 and level 4 without using the word level 3 and level 4. So that is the revise, but you will still remember it as level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 because this notification was brought out in November 2024 as such guys. So that is why it is not included in the study material that is applicable for May 25. In case it is applicable for September 25, it will be given through RTP. I will let you know. Okay. Now, so non-corporate entities which are not. So ICA के classification के हिसाब से बेटा level 1 is exactly same as non-SMC. Level 2, level 3, level 4, you just have to go by revenue and borrowings. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Turnover exceeds 50 crores, does not exceed 250 crores. Borrowing exceeds 10 crores, does not exceed 50 crores. Again divide by 5. Turnover exceeds 10 crores, does not exceed 50 crores. Borrowings exceed 2 crores, does not exceed. Non-corporate entities which are not level 1 entities whose turnover excluding other income exceeds dash but does not exceed 250. Which are not level 1. They are classified as level 2. Level 2 के लिए क्या है turnover? 50 and 250. Yes or no guys? The following accounting standard is not applicable to non-corporate entities following in level 2 in its entirety. So guys, AS3, AS17 as such guys are example of standards as such beta that are not applicable at all as such guys. AS17 के time पढ़ाया था ना that it is applicable only to level 1 entities. याद है नहीं है? I may still have that guys. I wanted to show you anyways. हाँ ये revised classification था बेटा just for your understanding once. अरे यार भाई AS3, AS17, AS20 बेटा नहीं है, AS24 है. AS20 is because of ICI का classification. AS20 is applicable as such beta to smaller entities also, but the requirements related to diluted EPS as such guys are not applicable. All non-corporate entities engaged in commercial, industrial guys and business reporting entities whose turnover excluding other income exceeds 250 crores are termed as level 1. All entities beta whose borrowings in excess of 2 crores but does not exceed 10 crores. Level 3. Small and medium sized company means a company as such beta. It is small and medium sized. It should not satisfy all of those 5 conditions. So if it is a bank guys, will it be an SMC or a non-SMC? Non-SMC. If it's a bank as such beta, it's a non-SMC. Turnover does not exceed 250 crore rupees. It is an SMC. Next beta. Which one of the following is not a major consideration in selection and application of accounting policies? I just explained it beta. We have 3 things. We have substance over form, prudence and materiality. What is not included beta here? Comparability. Adoption of different accounting policies by different companies operating in the same industry affects which of the qualitative characteristics the most? If different companies follow different accounting policies, but obviously their results will not be comparable. They're talking about same industry following different set of accounting standards. Which one of the following statement would not be correct in relation to disclosures to be made in financial statements after making a change in accounting policy? So revise beta, तुम लोग जो changes in accounting policies guys, if it has a material impact, it has to be disclosed as such guys under notes to accounts. You will have to disclose what is the impact on the asset and on the income base of the company. If the impact is not ascertainable, facts should be disclosed, and if it is going to impact as such beta your future income, such fact also should be disclosed that it is going to impact your assets or income in the future years. So which has a material impact, should it be disclosed? Yes. The amount by which an item in the financial statements is affected by such change should be disclosed. Yes or no? If the amount is not ascertainable, the fact should be indicated. If it has no material impact on the financial statements for the current period, but is expected to have material effect in later periods, the fact of such change should be reported. Yes or no? If a change is made in an accounting policy, guys, last wala is obviously incorrect beta because it says the fact should be disclosed only in the later periods. वो underline करना only in the later periods and say it is incorrect. Even if it is going to impact later periods, you will have to give a disclosure in the year in which the accounting policy is being changed. Are we clear? Which one of the following is fundamental accounting assumption? So we have 3 things: going concern, consistency and accrual. So that is consistency. It is essential to standardize accounting principles. अभी ऊपर आया था बेटा, same question है. ठीक है? All of them guys. Fundamental accounting assumption is going concern. Major considerations abhi kiye वापस. AS1 recognizes how many fundamental accounting assumptions? 3. Which one of the following is included in the consideration for selection of accounting policies? Prudence. All significant accounting policies should be disclosed. As per AS1 beta, it is mandatory to disclose all significant accounting policies. Such disclosure should form part of your financial statements, preferably under notes to accounts, and all of them should be disclosed at one place. This is what is given under AS1. Fundamental accounting assumption is compulsory guys for which of the following? Fundamental accounting, AS1 is mandatory guys for all the companies. Yes or no beta? AS3 now. Crown Limited wants to prepare its cash flow statement. It sold equipment of book value of 60,000 at a gain of 80,000. The amount to be reported in its cash flow statement under operating activities. Is it an operating activity guys or is it a investing activity? ठीक है, but it is assumed that it is direct method. ऐसे अगर question देता है बेटा, the amount to be reported, it means we are talking about directly disclosing cash inflow. We do not disclose cash inflow in relation to investing activity. We do make an adjustment, but that is to eliminate the impact of profit on sale. Are we clear guys? Mark कर लेना बेटा bit so that you do it later. While preparing cash flow statements, an entity other than a financial institution should disclose dividend received from investment in shares, investing activities. It is a financial enterprise. Interest paid and dividends received should be, because it's a financial entity guys, our major income as such guys will only be on account of investments, financial assets. In a cash flow statement, cash and cash equivalents do not include. So guys, cash and cash equivalents का definition क्या है बेटा? 3 conditions. The maturity period should not be more than 3 months from the date of investment. Highly liquid, insignificant risk. There should not be any risk of change in value. तो यहाँ पे second bit में बेटा वो बोल रहा है that they are short-term investments readily convertible into cash subject to insignificant risk. That is also ambiguous because the wording used is short-term. We do not know whether it is within 3 months. But फिर भी बेटा obviously loan from bank will not be a cash and cash equivalent. Loan from bank beta is a liability. Next guys, while preparing cash flow statement guys using indirect method is required under AS3. Which one of the following will not be deducted from? Which will not be adjusted guys? Interest income guys, will it be adjusted? You deduct under operating activity, take it as inflow under investing activities. Gain on sale of fixed asset, you deduct under operating activity, take the entire sale proceeds under investing activities. Depreciation, non-cash item, you will have to add back. Gain on sale of inventory, no. It is an operating activity as such guys, so obviously there will not be any adjustment required. It's a financial institution, it has given loans and advances guys to its subsidiary and earned interest of 5 lakhs on that loan. What will that be guys? Operating cash flow. Financial institution important hai. Normally beta when you give loans and advances to your subsidiary, will it be operating or investing? Investing. Which one of the following is not considered to be a cash and cash equivalent? Security deposits for 4 months. Are we clear guys? And एक तो बेटा वो security deposit word है, it is not a fixed deposit. Even had it been for 3 months as such guys, you cannot term it as a cash and cash equivalent. It is not that you can encash it whenever you want. The word security deposit means against some obligation as such, beta contractual obligation, you're depositing that amount as such guys. जैसे rental advance के against security deposits रहते हैं, हाँ या ना guys? Next, as per AS3 on cash flow statement, cash received by a manufacturing company from sale of shares. It's a manufacturing company, you're selling shares guys. What will that become? Investing activities. How should dividend paid by a company be disclosed? Cash flow from financing activities. AS17 guys. As per AS17, reportable segments are those whose revenue from external and internal segments exceeds. There were 3 tests that we did with the quantitative limits based on revenue, based on assets, based on segment result. Segment result के लिए we take higher of sum total of profits or losses, whichever is higher in absolute terms. उसके बाद में we go by 75% external revenue test. The segments that you have identified above based on these 3 quantitative limits and as per the discretion of the management should contribute to at least 75% of segment revenue or external revenue. External revenue. 75% external है बेटा, 10% segment है. Segment में you also include revenue from inter-segment transactions. External में you do not include inter-segment transactions. So that is 10% beta. Which one of the following is correct? So management has a discretion to include a segment if as a reportable segment even if it passes the 10% materiality test. Once it passes the 10% materiality test, it is mandatory to include that as such beta as a segment. Third, is that clear? Which one of the following is correct? Abhi padhaya beta. The overall test considers only external. The word external is important guys. Are we clear? Which one of the following is correct? 10% limit is based on what? External revenue or both external as well as internal? Which one of the following? अरे ये पूरे वही है बेटा, ठीक है ना? मतलब यहाँ पे वो 10% प्रॉफिट वाला है बेटा. They're telling us you will take 10% of the overall profit, overall loss. Then they are talking about whichever is higher in absolute terms. This is the most important part. Whichever is higher in absolute figures. That is what you will consider as the base, guys, for computing that 10% result. Is that clear? Following is included in segment revenue. I told you better, anything related to income tax assets, anything related to corporate assets, guys, anything extraordinary nature, anything related to your investments, borrowings, will not form part of segment revenue, segment expenditure, segment asset, segment liability. याद है नहीं है? तो यहाँ पे बेटा it says extraordinary items. Will you include? No. Interest or dividend income? No. Gain on sale of investments? No. So the only thing beta is revenue from transactions with other segments. Which one of the following is not included in segment expenditure? Income. Abhi beta, anything related to taxes also beta is not included. Are we clear, kids? AS 18 beta. Related party disclosures. According to AS 18 related party disclosures, which one of the following is not a related party of Skyline Limited? A shareholder of Skyline Limited owning 30% of ordinary share capital. This is covered under point 3, guys. Yes or no? Point 3 covers individuals, guys, who directly or indirectly exercise significant influence or control over the entity. Associate of Skyline, isn't that covered under point 2? Key management personnel and their relatives are covered under point 4. An entity providing banking facilities in the normal course of business, will it be a related party? What are not related parties? बोल के नीचे बेटा, single distributor, single customer, your provider of finance cannot be considered beta to be related parties. Are the following statements, guys, in relation to related parties true or false? According to AS 18 related party disclosures, a party is related to another entity that it is jointly controlled by. That it is jointly controlled by. Here they're talking about relation not between venturers, but between venturer and joint venture. The sentence is important. This is the relation between whom? Venturer and joint venture. A party is related to another entity that it controls. Subsidiary and holding. Are both of them related parties? Two venturers are not related to each other, guys. But venturer is undoubtedly related to joint venture. Are you clear about this? Which one of the following is not a related party, guys? A director of the entity. Beta, सिर्फ director नहीं, ambiguous है. Because, very good. So, यहाँ पे बेटा, let us add the word managing director, ताकि it becomes KMP. Let us add the word managing director. Ordinary director will not be considered, guys. It has to be KMP. Who are KMP? The ones who have the operating, investing, जो भी अपने firms के activities are such, guys, they are the ones who control those activities, take decisions. Shareholder of the entity that holds 1% stake will not be a related party. Next, beta. According to AS 18, related party disclosures as such, guys, related party transaction is a transfer of resources or obligations between related parties, provided a price is charged for such transfer. Underline the word provided a price. Incorrect. Even if it is. कल ही एक question देखे थे बेटा. Interest free loan given to subsidiary. Did we not learn better that disclosures are required as per AS 18? And I told you, even if interest was charged, it will still be a related party transaction. Doesn't matter, guys, whether you're charging amount or not. It has to be reported. Gurtunda, underline kare, provided a price. That is what is making it false. Even if price is not charged, it will still be related party transaction. Next, better. According to AS 18 related party disclosures, parties are considered to be related if and only if at the end of the reporting period, one party has the ability to control the other party. Underline the word at the end of the reporting period. And the answer beta will become false. It is not at the end, it is any time during the financial year. Related party relationship can exist any time during the financial year. However, we report only those transactions that were executed during the existence of such relationship. Which one of the following is disclosed in? So guys, transaction of one central government with another central government. I told you, but merely because government is a common shareholder, they cannot be considered as related parties. Yaad hai? Exceptions se beta we did government controlled entities. Then we did transactions to which confidentiality laws apply. Then beta we did intercompany transactions, but in consolidated financial statements. I said anyways the transactions are eliminated, so you do not have to disclose them as related party transactions. So point B, point C, point D are all government controlled entities. So they will not be considered as related party transactions. Point A beta is not consolidated, it is. Had it been consolidated as such, guys, there is no need for you to disclose related party transactions. I repeat, had it been consolidated, there is no need for you to disclose related party transactions. Intra-group transactions between one group and other group. Any doubt in this? Shabaz bhi gaya abhi. Yes, guys. Which of the following may be considered as related party beta as per AS 18? A limited and B limited only because they have a common director. Just because they have a director in common beta, it will not be related. When will they be related? If that director is a KMP, guys, key management personnel in both the entities, then it will become related. A limited and B limited, guys, are totally independent companies. However, majority of the board of directors of both the companies are same. They now become related beta because majority of the board of directors, matlab kya, guys, their KMPs as such, guys, would be common. Mr. S and A limited only because Mr. S purchases majority of the products of A limited. Single customer, single distributor cannot be considered as related. ABC Bank and N limited because all borrowings of N limited are financed by ABC Bank. Provider of finance beta cannot be considered as a related party. A limited sold goods, guys, for 90 lakh rupees to B limited during financial year. A limited, managing directors of A limited exercise 100% control in B limited. They're talking about point E, last point, guys. Entities over which individual described in point C and D beta exercise significant influence or control. Now, the transactions were made at normal selling prices. Doesn't make a difference. Even if it is made at normal selling prices, beta, disclosures are required to be made. Yes or no, kids? P limited has 60% beta in Q limited. Q limited has 20% in R limited. P limited also enjoys a 14% voting power in R limited. Now, management of R limited has not disclosed its relationship, guys, with P limited. Galat kare. Are all of them related to each other? For P limited, guys, Q limited is a subsidiary, R limited is an associate. For Q limited, R limited is an associate, P limited is parent entity. For R limited, both P and Q limited are investing parties. Are we clear about this? So all of them as such beta would be related to each other. Next, guys. AB company had 1 lakh shares as such beta of common stock outstanding on Jan 1st. Additional 50,000 shares were issued. On July 1st, 25,000 shares were reacquired. Point to be noted, information starts from Jan 1st. That means year ends on 31st December. 1 lakh is outstanding for 12 months. 50,000 is outstanding for 6 months. 25,000 is not outstanding for 4 months. Reacquired matlab repurchase, bought back. Yaad hai beta, we did these questions in class. This will give us weighted average number of shares outstanding. Kitna ho gaya beta ye? हाँ, जो मार्क्ड है वही है 1,16,667. समझ में आया नहीं आया? 1 lakh into 12 by 12 plus 50,000 into 6 by 12. Online students, I hope you're all listening better. Minus 25,000 into 4 by 12. As per AS 20, potential equity shares should be considered as dilutive when and only when their conversion to equity shares. To decide, guys, whether they're dilutive or anti-dilutive, I told you that we should only consider profit or loss from continuing operations. However, the amount of diluted EPS that is reported should be based on both profit beta from both continuing as well as discontinuing operations. Last my question tha, yaad hai nahi hai? Ye bit important hai beta, do mark it. You should only consider what? This is only to decide as such beta whether they are dilutive or anti-dilutive. Next beta. As per AS 20, equity shares which are issuable upon satisfaction of certain conditions. उनको बोलते हैं contingently issuable shares. Upon satisfaction, मतलब they are considered to be potential equity shares, but under that also beta they are contingently issuable shares. It is subject to some condition that may arise on a later date. Mark कर लेना. In case potential equity shares have been cancelled during the year, they should still be considered, guys, from the beginning of the year till the date of cancellation. Did I also cover a case on this? Convertible debentures got converted into equity shares during the year. They were not cancelled as such, guys, but then we still considered it as such, guys, till the date of conversion. समझ में आ रहा है? Partly paid up equity shares. Important beta. Important matlab, see guys, normally as such beta, partly paid up equity shares are considered as a part of basic EPS. Sir, why are they considered as a part of basic EPS? Because dividend rights as such, guys, are based on paid up value of the share. मतलब बेटा तुम्हारा Companies Act में तुम लोग ये पढ़ते हो that dividends can be paid on paid up value if it is authorized by articles. But by default as such, बेटा every company will pay dividend on partly paid up shares also. If you are paying dividend on partly paid up shares, they are considered as a part of basic EPS. In case a company prohibits payment of dividend on partly paid up shares, for the time being, they will be considered as potential equity shares because they are not entitled to any earnings for the time being. But as and when they become entitled to, will that reduce the dividend payments to the existing shareholders? Yes. So in case dividends are payable, they should be considered as a part of basic EPS. In case dividends are not payable, they should be considered as a part of potential equity share. वो लिखना है तो लिखना बेटा. If they are entitled to dividend, they are part of basic EPS. If they are entitled to dividend, they are part of basic EPS. If they are entitled to dividend, they are part of basic EPS. लिख लिया बेटा. Next guys, कौन से क्वेश्चन बता बेटा मैं? 6th. In which of the following calculation of basic and diluted earnings per share guys for prior period is not restated? Is not restated is the question. In case you're issuing bonus shares beta, should you restate? Undoubtedly yes. If in case there is reverse split guys or consolidation of shares guys or stock split, should you restate? Yes. Guys, you restate whenever there's a change in number of equity shares guys without any inflow or outflow of cash. Yes or no? If bonus shares are issued after the balance sheet date but before the date on which the financial statements are approved. Yes. Guys, matlab bonus shares have been issued on 30th April 2024. You are preparing financial statements for 2023-24. Even then beta, they are incorporated for computation of basic EPS. You will not wait for the next financial year as such beta, you will incorporate it in the current year only. हाँ, अर्लीस्ट रिपोर्टिंग पीरियड के. बट डाउट इसलिए आता बच्चों को क्योंकि अभी तक तो ईयर एंड के पहले बोनस शेयर्स भी डिक्लेयर नहीं किए बल्कि इवन देन बेटा दे आर इंक्लूडेड. लास्ट वन बेटा, इफ द नंबर ऑफ इक्विटी शेयर्स आउटस्टैंडिंग इंक्रीजेस एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ राइट्स इशू, कैश component is included only from the date of issue. Which component is taken from the beginning? Bonus component. अब ये क्वेश्चन में बेटा I have added the word cash component. ICISM में the word cash component was not included. If the word cash component is not included, the entire answer becomes incorrect. Because right shares में there are both components, bonus as well as cash component. Bonus component is included right from the beginning. Cash component is included only from the date of issue. याद है, we compute theoretical ex-right price guys and then see how many shares would have been issued at fair value. The balance shares will become shares without any consideration. Which of the following statements is correct? Diluted EPS will be more than basic EPS or less than basic EPS? Less than basic EPS. Which of the following statements is correct? Options are generally dilutive in nature. Will options be generally dilutive in nature? Yes. Options do not result in increase in earnings. They only result in increase in number of shares. Guys, at least because of convertible debentures, there is increase in earnings, increase in shares. Because of convertible preference shares, there is increase in earnings, increase in shares. Because of ESOPs, there is no increase in earnings. There is only increase in shares. That is why they are always dilutive. Options are more dilutive as compared to the other potential equity shares. Undoubtedly, yes. Do you remember one question, beta? We had 3 dilutive instruments in the same question. We had to rank them in the order of dilution. सबसे पहले क्या include किए थे? ESOPs. Are you clear? वहाँ पे reasoning लिखना बेटा. Because ESOPs do not result in increase in earnings. Because ESOPs do not result in increase in earnings. एक क्वेश्चन पढ़ते गया तो लग गई. ESOPs do not result, beta 54. ESOPs do not result in increase in earnings. Did you write that, guys? Which of the following statements is true, guys? Right shares always contain a bonus element. Yes. Guys, because right shares are issued at a price lower than the existing market price. Are we clear about this? Which of the following is not a potential equity share, guys? Employee stock option, share warrants, cumulative preference shares. They're not convertible preference shares. They are cumulative preference shares. There's a difference between convertible and cumulative. Are we clear? Cumulative preference shares are not potential equity shares. Had it been convertible preference shares, yes, you would have considered them as potential equity shares. As per AS 20, an enterprise should present or disclose. Your disclosures mein aata beta. You should disclose what is the numerator that you're considering, guys. In calculation of basic and diluted EPS, you should disclose what is the weighted average number of equity shares. You should obviously disclose both basic and diluted EPS. And you should disclose, guys, earnings per share for each class of share. If you have multiple classes of share, you will have to disclose EPS beta for each class of share. So the answer beta is all the statements are correct. Last bit, guys, same number of shares, but यहाँ पे year starts on 1st April. Skipping it, next question. AS 24. Same है बेटा वही जैसे पहले करते थे. AB has decided to dispose of its clothing division as part of its long-term strategy. The question is about initial disclosure event. Initial disclosure event as per AS 24 earlier of 2 dates. The date on which the board approves and announces a detailed formal plan as such, guys, or the organization has already entered into a binding sale agreement. Are we clear, guys? So यहाँ पे बेटा, the date of board approval is 1st March. The date of formal announcement is 15th March. Date of binding sale agreement is 1st July. Though the board approval beta was on 1st March, when was the announcement made? So that is why you will have to consider it as 15th March. Are we clear? Beta binding sale agreement बाद में आ रहा है. Whichever is earlier. हाँ, board approval or formal announcement में time gap है. तो obviously you will take the date beta on which a formal announcement of the plan is made. To qualify as a component that can be distinguished operationally and financial reporting purposes. So guys, when you say you are able to distinguish it operationally as such, and for financial reporting purpose, you should be able to identify the assets, revenue, expenses related to that. If you're not able to do that, obviously it cannot be distinguished. So it says operating assets, revenue, majority of the operating expenses. Obviously, if you're able to identify all of them, only then beta do you remember the 3 conditions, guys? Discontinuing operation. First point covers how are you going to dispose of. It can be piecemeal, second beta, in its entirety first, or piecemeal or abandonment. That's the first point. Second, it should either represent an entire segment, guys, or it should be a major component of a segment. Last one, you should be able to distinguish it, guys, for the purpose of operation and financial reporting purpose. Now, identify which of the following statements is incorrect. Obviously, beta यहाँ पे may or may not be. अभी पूरे conditions पढ़ाया मैं. The wording used is may or may not be, beta. It is incorrect. 4th question, beta. Identify the incorrect statement. Discontinuing operations are infrequent events, but this does not mean all infrequent events are discontinuing operations. Obviously, beta. Just because something is occurring irregularly, that does not mean it will be classified as a discontinuing operation. The fact that a disposal of a component of an enterprise is classified as a discontinuing operation under AS 24 would always raise a question regarding the enterprise ability to continue as a going concern. Guys, just because you are disposing of a particular division, does that mean beta going concern assumption itself is violated? Abhi ITC group mein beta ITC hotels got demerged. Discontinuing operation. Does that mean are we questioning beta going concern assumption of ITC? No. Okay. Next beta AS 25. AS 25 mandates the following in relation to interim financial reports. Does AS 25 beta make it mandatory, guys, to publish interim financial reports? AS 25 only says in case an entity presents interim financial reports, we will have to follow AS 20. The standard defines interim financial report as a financial report for an interim period that either contains complete set of financial statements or condensed set of financial statements. ABC Limited has reported 85,000 as per tax profit in the first quarter and expects a loss of 25,000 each in the subsequent 3 quarters. It has a corporate tax rate slab of 20% on the first 20,000 earnings and 40% on the additional earnings. Calculate tax expenditure. Whenever there is slab rate system applicable, guys, you should first compute weighted average tax rate. Now, what is your income in the first quarter? 85,000. Second quarter, 25,000. Third, 25. Next, 25. All put together, 10,000. On 10,000 beta, you will pay a tax of how much? 20%. Obviously beta, that means my income tax rate is 20%. Isn't my taxable income 10,000? What will be your tax amount? 2,000. What will be your tax rate, guys? 20%. Tax rate beta is 20%, guys. So in the first quarter beta, 85,000 is your profit. What should be your tax expenditure? 85,000 into 20%. 85,000 multiplied by 20%, guys, you will book a tax expenditure of 17,000. You will not go by the slab rate system, guys. You have to book based on the average tax rate. Any doubt in this? Next, beta. An entity prepares quarterly interim financial reports in accordance with AS 25. The entity is engaged in sale of mobile phones, and normally 5% of customers claim on their warranty. The provision in the first quarter was calculated as 5% of sales, which is sales were 10 million. However, in the second quarter, a fault was found and warranty claims were expected to be 10% for the whole of the year. Sales in the second quarter were 15 million. Whenever there is a change in estimate, guys, it should be adjusted in the interim period in which you are presenting the financials. So, isn't this a change in estimate, guys? अभी तुमको 15 million पे 10% करना पड़ेगा और पहले क्वार्टर के 5 million पे एडिशनल 5%. 5% ओनली नो. पहले क्वार्टर का 10 million, सॉरी बेटा, पहले क्वार्टर के 10 million पे एडिशनल 5%. वाई एडिशनल 5%? You only created 5%. On that also, beta, the revised estimate is, I repeat, guys, in quarter 2, you should take 15 millions का 10%. And then quarter 1 का जो 10 million sale था, उसके ऊपर additional 5%. This is change in estimate. It should be adjusted in the period in which the interim financial statements are presented. Any change in estimate, beta, cannot be adjusted retrospectively. It has to be adjusted in the period in which you are changing the estimate. Depreciation method. So in quarter 2, guys, on 15 million you will create 10%, and then on 10 million as such, beta, you will create 5%. Additional 5% बोल के लिखना बेटा, ताकि बाद में confusion ना हो. 10 million पे additional 5%, and also write change in estimate बोल के. You will also write change in estimate. Are we clear about this? You have a doubt? Ask now. Next, beta. Interim period as per AS 25 means any period, beta, that is shorter than a full financial year. Which of the following is not a minimum component of an interim financial report? There is no such thing called condensed director's report. You only have to present financial statements, beta. So that is condensed balance sheet, cash flow statement, P&L statement, and selected explanatory notes. Next, guys. XYZ Limited is incorporated on 1st October 2022 in India. Its first financial statements are prepared on 31st March 2023 for 6 months. AS 25 is applicable if financial statements are published. Isn't this for the entire financial year? The first financial year, beta, can be less than 1 year. Hi, Anna. This, beta, cannot be considered as an interim. You do not even have an option of doing that. Last one, beta, is undoubtedly interim period. Any period shorter than a full financial year is an interim period. अपना full financial year क्या है first year? 6 months. उससे कम तुम लोग कुछ भी present कर रहे हो, that is an interim period. Standard never said it is not applicable to first year of operations. Standard only says the first financial year can be less than 1 year. Just because it is less than 1 year, it does not mean it is an interim period. It should still be considered as a financial year only. Is that clear? Which item of inventory is under the scope of AS2, guys? WIP arising under construction contracts is not covered. Shares are not covered. Debentures held as stock in trade are also not covered. Materials and other supplies for use in production of inventories are not written down. If the finished product, beta, will be sold at or above cost. Basically, finished product should not be sold at a loss. All of the following costs are excluded except statement को दो बार negate कर रहा है बेटा. Are we clear, guys? So you will not include selling and distribution cost. You will not include abnormal wastage. You will not include storage cost. The only thing better that will be included here is allocated fixed production cost based on normal capacity. In fact, actual answer beta is based on normal capacity or actual capacity, whichever is higher. Very good, guys. अब बेटा ये स्टडी मटेरियल में क्वेश्चन सदियों से चलते हुए आ रहा है. द वर्ड नॉट इज नॉट प्रेजेंट. ब्रैकेट्स में लिखे वो लोग which is necessary part of production process. If storage cost is necessary part of production process, should it be included or excluded? I've added the word not as beta so that the answer is correct. But subsequent MCQs beta that they are including, मतलब they make those changes. जैसे यहाँ देखो storage cost unless the production process requires such storage बोल के correct दिया. So that question makes it correct. They've revised that question beta but through an MTP. Now identify the statements beta which is or incorrect. Storage cost which is necessary part beta is included. अभी ऊपर पढ़ा है beta, obviously it is included. Admin overheads are never included. Is that correct? Yes. Full amount of variable production overheads incurred are included. Yes. Variable production overheads actuals लेते हो. Fixed production overheads absorption. Admin overheads are always included. Incorrect. You do not include admin overheads. Inventory account should be classified under which section? Obviously current assets. Which of the following methods is not recommended by AS2? LIFO. We have FIFO, weighted average, specific idea. You divide inventories as such beta into inventories ordinarily interchangeable, inventories not ordinarily interchangeable. If there are inventories not ordinarily interchangeable, ठीक से बैठ बेटा तेजस. You will have to use specific identification method. If the inventories are ordinarily interchangeable, even then beta we have historical cost and non-historical cost. Under historical cost, you have FIFO method and weighted average method. Under non-historical cost as such beta standard cost and retail selling adjusted selling price method. वहाँ पे specific identification करते हैं. The cost of inventories of items that are not ordinarily interchangeable. Specific identification. Which item of inventory is under the scope? Raw material. Machinery, spares beta exclusively used with or for fixed assets comes under PPE. Provided they have a useful life of more than 1 year. If they have a useful life of less than 1 year, they are not an item of PPE, they are inventories. Kya malum, sir? As per AS2, inventories include materials awaiting use in production process. What should be included in inventories from the following? मतलब materials में क्या आता है? Secondary packaging material, guys. Is it a part of manufacturing cost or is it distribution cost? Packing cost is divided into two categories beta. Primary packing and secondary packing. Primary packing is considered as a manufacturing cost. Secondary packing is considered as a distribution cost. Spare parts, servicing equipment and standby equipment. These are PPE. They're not even inventories. Primary packing, yes. Publicity material matlab advertisement. Next, guys. In determining cost of inventories, it is appropriate to exclude certain cost and recognize them as expenses. Which of the following is not an example of such cost? Abnormal waste, yes, obviously you will exclude. Storage cost you will exclude. Selling and distribution cost you will exclude. What is the cost that you're not going to exclude? Raw material cost. Next, better. On 31st of March 2024, Sri Radhesham Enterprise finds that the cost of a partly finished unit on that date is 530. Work in progress का valuation principle क्या है? Cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Work in progress beta is cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Finished goods is cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Only for raw materials and other consumables, we take it as cost, unless the finished product beta is expected to be sold at a loss. How do you compute NRV of work in progress? Selling price of finished product minus selling expenses minus additional cost yet to be incurred. So this unit can be finished beta by incurring an additional expenditure of 310. Finished product can be sold at 750 subject to a brokerage of 8%. So NRV of work in progress beta would be 750 minus 8% minus 310. कितना बड़ा? What is the cost of work in progress? 530. At what amount will you value? 380 or 530, whichever is lower, that is 380. I will discuss better till 3 o'clock MCQs. ठीक है? As per AS10 revised, property, plant and equipment, which of the following cost is not included in the carrying amount of an item of PPE? Cost of site preparation, guys, is obviously directly attributable cost. Installation and assembly cost, directly attributable cost. Initial delivery and handling cost, directly remember beta, we have divided them into three categories. Purchase price, cost that can be directly attributable as such, and cost that should not be included. Are we clear? As per AS10, property, plant and equipment, investment properties should be valued as per cost model. Cost or evaluation model is applicable for all the class of PPE except investment properties. A plot of land with a carrying amount of 1 lakh was revalued to rupees 1,50,000 at the end of year 2. Subsequently, due to drop in market values, the land was determined to have a fair value of 1,30,000 at the end of year 2. Initially, upward revaluation kitna beta? 50,000. Subsequent downward revaluation 20,000. What should be the accounting treatment? Transfer 50,000 to revaluation reserve, adjust 20,000 against revaluation reserve. Next, a plot of land with a carrying amount of 1 lakh was revalued to 90,000. Downward revaluation kitna hai? 10,000. What will you do with this? P&L account. Subsequently, upward revaluation 15,000. First transfer 10,000 rupees to P&L account. Baki 5,000 to. So proud of you. On sale of an asset beta which was revalued upward, what would be the treatment of revaluation reserve? Is it credit? What do you do with it, guys? हाँ, wait till मतलब हो गया अभी अपन सेल कर रहे. Cancel कहाँ पे ट्रांसफर करोगे? Excellent answer. You transfer the entire amount beta to general reserve. What did we learn, guys? Two options available for revaluation reserve. Either to the extent of incremental depreciation, you can transfer it to general reserve every year, or upon sale of the asset, guys, transfer it entirely to general reserve. What can be adjusted against revaluation reserve? Subsequent downward revaluation or impairment loss. Only two things that can be adjusted against revaluation reserve. Either there's a subsequent downward revaluation or there is an impairment loss under AS 28. Nothing else better can be adjusted against revaluation reserve. A machinery having an invoice price of 1,18,000 including GST of 18. So you will capitalize it at what amount? 1 lakh. The rate of depreciation is 10%. Depreciation will be class AS10 PP is applicable to. Is it applicable to biological assets? Biological asset का definition क्या है बेटा? Living plant or animal. Yes or no? We are all wasting assets, guys. Are they included? No. Inventories? Obviously no. Bearer plant, is it included? Yes. What is a bearer plant? Mango tree. Yes, beta. A plant that is held as such, guys, with an intention to sell the produce out of that plant for a period of more than 1 year. Are we clear? The plant will bear produce for more than 1 year. AS13, the cost of rights shares, guys. What is right beta? I said rights mein beta, what are the possible scenarios? You can either subscribe to right shares, guys, or you can sell the rights. In case you're subscribing to right shares, what will you do with it? Add it to the cost of investment. In case you're selling right entitlements, normally transfer to P&L account. However, if the shares were purchased on a come right basis and there has been a decrease in the value of the investment below the original cost, to the extent of such decrease, beta, sale proceeds of rights can be adjusted against cost of investment. The excess amount shall be transferred to P&L account. It's fine, beta, don't get worried. Long-term investments are valued at cost, less other than temporary decline. Current investments, cost or fair value, whichever is lower. A Limited acquired 2,000 shares of Omega on a come right basis at 75. Subsequently, it made a rights issue in the ratio of 1:1 at 60 rupees, which we subscribed. So initially we purchased 2,000 shares at 75. Subsequently, we purchased another 2,000 shares at 60 rupees. Put together 2,70,000. Is that clear, guys? Chanda ka answer kya beta? Cost of investment includes purchase cost, brokerage and stamp duty. Both A and B. All the following are fixed income securities except equity. A current investment is an investment beta that is readily realized. Two conditions, guys. It should be readily realizable plus the intention to hold beta should not exceed 1 year from the date the investment is intention beta. Actual period can exceed 1 year. Intention to hold should not exceed 1 year. Pratham and Associates is a manufacturer of steel rods. It invests its profits by purchasing shares of listed companies in order to earn dividend income. It had purchased shares of Bharti Airtel Limited in financial year 2018-19. However, it sold all the shares of Bharti Airtel during the current financial year. What would be disclosed in P&L account? Profit. Guys, whatever is a profit on sale beta will be transferred to P&L account. How will you compute that profit or loss? Difference between carrying amount and disposal proceeds. Sale value, guys, minus cost of investment. Hai na? You sure you've understood, right? Cost of current investment acquired. जो भी bit तुम्हारे को confusion लग रहा है बेटा and you think you might have to revise, please mark. Cost of current investment acquired beta was rupees 1 lakh, but the fair value was 80,000. This is a current investment, guys. It should be recorded at cost or fair value, whichever is lower. That means you will bring down the investment to 80,000. Now the fair value of the investment is 1 lakh 20. Subsequently, if the value of the investment is increasing, guys, can you reverse the loss provided earlier? Yes, but you cannot go beyond original cost. Even now, beta, you will write cost 1 lakh, fair value 1 lakh 20, whichever is lower. What is lower? 1 lakh. So you will now record a gain of 20,000. It should still be cost or fair value, whichever is lower. Securities held as stock in trade. Can it be considered as investments? No, they are not investments as per AS 13. AS 13 does not include anything better that you are holding as stock in trade. Very first paragraph. Investments are assets held better for the purpose of generating income by way of rent, dividend, capital appreciation. याद है नहीं है? And they should not include anything that are held as stock in trade. हंस रहे क्या रहेगा दो पढ़ा रहा ना. As per AS 16, all the following are qualifying assets except asset भी qualify हो रहा है देखो. Manufacturing plant, guys, and power generation facilities. Are they qualifying assets? Undoubtedly, yes. Inventories that require substantial period of time? Yes. Assets those are ready for sale? No. How do you define a qualifying asset? Which takes a substantial period of time, guys, to get ready for its intended use or sale. For its intended use or sale. It can be an item of inventory, it can be an item of PPE as such, guys, or intangible asset, but it should take a substantial period of time. What is substantial period of time? Assumed to be 12 months. However, the board of directors beta can consider a lower period in case interest part is a significant component of your overall cost. Which of the following statements is correct? Entire exchange gain is reduced from the cost of the qualifying asset. Exchange loss is added to the cost of a qualifying asset. No adjustment is done for exchange loss while computing cost of qualifying asset. ये bit beta ambiguous है. No doubt about it, guys. The accounting treatment for exchange loss will depend on whether para 46A is applicable or not, but prima facie we transfer all the exchange differences to P&L account. That is why beta the answer is C. वहाँ पे लिख लेना. Prima facie all exchange differences are transferred to P&L account. Prima facie guys all exchange differences are transferred to P&L account. Borrowing cost का last point याद है? Exchange differences on foreign currency borrowings to the extent that they're considered as an adjustment to borrowing cost. That is the difference between interest on rupee borrowing and interest on foreign currency borrowing. Next bit is also important beta. Capitalization rate considers only borrowing cost. Sir, why not specific borrowings? शक्ल भी नहीं देखते अभी. Why not specific borrowings? For specific borrowings, we do not need capitalization rate. The entire interest expenditure incurred as such beta as reduced by the amount of income from investments is directly added to the cost of the asset. Capitalization rate ka concept comes only for general borrowings because we capitalize interest only from the date expenditure is incurred. मान लिख लेना, no rate is required for specific borrowings. No rate is required for specific borrowings. Next, if the amount eligible for capitalization in case of inventory as per AS16 is 12,000 and the cost of inventory is 40,000, net realizable value is 45. What amount can be capitalized? We have learned a point, guys, that capitalization of borrowing cost should never result in the cost of the asset exceeding its recoverable amount. Okay? We have already incurred a cost of 40,000 and NRV कितना है? So additional amount that we can capitalize is only वहां पे लिख लेना cost cannot exceed recoverable amount which is 45,000. Cost cannot exceed recoverable amount which is 45,000. You understood what I just said? Cost cannot exceed carrying amount which is recoverable amount which is 45,000. Next beta. X is commencing a new construction project which is to be financed by borrowing. The key dates are as follows. 15th May ko beta loan interest relating to project starts to be incurred. You started incurring borrowing cost on 15th May. You started technical site planning work on 2nd June, but the expenditure in the project beta started to be incurred only on 19 June. Physical construction started on 18 July. Doesn't matter even if physical construction started beta on 18 July. Expenditure कब से शुरू करे? Conditions on commencement of capitalization, you should incur borrowing costs, you should incur expenditure on the qualifying asset. Expenditure is incurred beta from 19th June. Next. Jain has borrowed 10 crores for construction of a plant at a rate of 10% per annum. Interest paid annually is 1 crore. Construction was being carried out, and out of the borrowings, 4 crores was temporarily placed in a fixed deposit at a rate of 6% per annum. Interest earned is 24 lakhs. At the year end, how much cost of borrowing Jain will capitalize? It's a specific borrowing as such, guys. That is why it will be interest amount as such beta as reduced by income from temporary investment of funds. Are we clear, guys? Next, X Limited approved a plan for construction of a building on 14th May 2022. It has finalized the vendor on 20th June. Borrowing cost is due to be paid from 1st July. First installment of borrowing cost is made on 1st August. Construction of building started from 15th July. When should you start capitalization? Beta, apna borrowing cost we are incurring from 1st July, but construction started on 15th July. Obviously 15th July. What if, sir, construction started on 15th July, but borrowing cost is incurred from 1st August? Undoubtedly. Are we clear, guys? Next, X Limited has taken borrowing. समझ में आया नहीं आया? दो ही चीजें बेटा. Borrowing cost कब से incur कर रहे हो? Construction पे expenditure कब से कर रहे हो? Are we clear? X Limited has taken borrowing for construction of building A and building B. The loan for both the buildings was taken on 1st July 2019. Construction of both the buildings commenced on 5th July. So obviously you must have commenced capitalizations for both the buildings on 5th July. Construction of building A was completed on 1st June and building B on 1st October. Both the buildings are inaugurated on 15th November. When should you stop capitalization? Whenever beta the building is available for its intended use as such, guys, you should stop capitalization. कब है बेटा वो? 1st June. Will you wait till the date of inauguration? X Limited has taken machinery, guys. Borrowing cost चल रहा ना? ध्यान दो बेटा, गलती से लीज का क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे आ गया. X Limited has taken an machinery on operating lease beta for 3 years. Initial yearly rent is 10,000. Rent is subject to an escalation of 5% every year. General inflation rate in the country is also 5%. Normally बेटा operating lease की accounting क्या है? Only rent amount is recorded, correct, guys? But that rent as such beta should be expense to P&L account in the pattern of economic benefits. If that pattern cannot be established, it should be done on a straight line basis. यहाँ पे बेटा the answer is directly rent amount because increase is exactly equal to your inflation rate. Straight lining is not required. Basically बेटा year 1 का rent is 10,000. Year 2 का rent beta will be 10,500. Year 3 का rent beta, can someone add 5% to 10,500? 11,025. तीनों साल का total? $32,000. Divide by 3 beta. 10,508.33 would have been the answer if the increase was not on account of inflation. Because the increase is on account of inflation, there is no need to straight line. You will directly book 10,000, 10,500 and 11,025. Year 1 10,000, year 2 10,500, year 3 11,020. Do you remember I spoke about inflation while I was explaining the standard? इसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन कभी नहीं था बेटा, but then they've included an MCQ. That is I'm explaining again. Are we clear? Write those lease rentals clearly. And write. पहले वो lease rentals लिखो तीनों साल का. Year 1 10,000, year 2 10,500, year 3 11,025. 11,025. Shabash bhai. Now what will you write beta? Note expenditure per annum would have been 31,525 divided by 3. Expenditure per annum would have been 31,525 divided by 3. 31,525 divided by 3. If the increase was not on account of inflation, if the increase was not on account of inflation, if the increase was not on account of inflation, not on account of inflation, okay? But now what will you write? 10,000 only. Year 1 10,000, year 2 10,500, year 3 11,025. Vijay borrowed 30 lakhs at an interest rate of 5% per annum and purchased plant and machinery for 60 lakhs using borrowed funds and started production. It took 1 year time for him to create optimum market for the goods manufactured. Is it a qualifying asset? It took 1 year for you to create a market for the product, guys. That does not mean the asset was not available for use. The asset was available for use right from day one. Can you capitalize borrowing cost? Not a qualifying asset. Yes or no, guys? Not a qualifying asset. Next, AS19. First one, beta, is sale and leaseback transaction. Let us quickly revise, beta. Sale and leaseback mein kya bola? Whenever, beta, you are selling an asset and taking back the same asset under a lease transaction as such, guys, the accounting for profit or loss on such sale and leaseback transaction as such, beta, should depend on whether it is a finance lease or an operating lease. If the leaseback transaction results in finance lease, whether it is profit, whether it is loss, we do not care. You have to defer the profit or loss, beta, and amortize it in the ratio of depreciation. Because in relation to that asset, beta, depreciation will go to your P&L account. If the sale and leaseback transaction results in operating lease, then the accounting treatment will depend on whether the sale occurred at fair value or not. We divided that into 3 cases. If selling price is equal to fair value, that means the transaction was done at normal arm's length price. The entire profit or loss will be transferred to P&L account immediately. If selling price is less than fair value, even then profit or loss will be transferred to P&L account unless there is a loss and that loss is compensated by future lease rentals. In that case, you will defer it. If selling price is greater than fair value, the difference between selling price and fair value has to be deferred. The difference between fair value and carrying amount will be transferred immediately. Important tha yaar. ऐसी शक्लें मत बनाओ. So guys, here beta, we sold it for 50 lakhs. Fair value is also 50 lakhs. It is resulting in operating lease. Itna likh lena, selling price is equal to fair value. Because selling price is equal to fair value, guys, what will you do? Recognize immediately. Tension में मत आओ बेटा, एक आधा स्टैंडर्ड याद नहीं आ रहा तो एग्जाम कल थोड़ी लिखना है, May 3rd से ना. Yes guys, if selling price is equal to fair value, guys, you will recognize profit or loss immediately. Next beta, in case of an operating lease, identify which statement is correct. Who will continue to show books of asset beta in books of accounts? Lessor only. Lessee will not recognize asset. Next, in case of finance lease beta, if an asset is returned back to the lessor at the end of the lease term, the lessee always claims depreciation based on which of the following? Lower of useful life or lease term. But guys, useful life will not be less than lease term. Please understand. Why the hell will you pay lease beta for 10 years if the useful life is 4 years or 5 years? बोलने के लिए बेटा standard will have to cover for all provisions, but it has to be, guys, lease term only. Is that clear? AS19 lays down 5 deterministic conditions to classify lease as a finance lease. Remember 5 conditions? First one, beta, ownership automatically gets transferred. Second condition, option is given to the lessee to purchase the asset at a lower price. Third one, present value of MLP covers a substantial portion of the fair value of the asset. Next, lease term covers a substantial portion of useful life. Last one, asset is of a specialized nature. So only if all the 5 conditions fails, beta, it will be an operating lease. Otherwise, it will be a finance lease. The basis of classification of a lease is, ये कभी terms पढ़ते नहीं बेटा अपन, but वो MCQ में ऐसे word use कर रहे हैं. There's no controllability test, beta. There's only risk and reward test. Prima facie, guys, whether it is operating lease or finance lease depends on whether risk and reward incidental to ownership have been transferred or not. Is that clear? Which of the following would not lead to lease being classified? Wait, it does not transfer substantially all the risk and rewards incidental to ownership. Classification of operating lease or finance lease beta is done on which date? It is either beta the date of commitment by parties or the date of the lease agreement, whichever is earlier. Mark it so that you revise it. नया bit है. Which of the following is the correct treatment of income from temporary investment of borrowed funds? अच्छा, एक bit वहाँ का यहाँ का वहाँ गया बेटा. This is AS 16 guys. What will you do beta from income from temporary investment of funds? Reduce from borrowing cost. In the books of seller lessee, if the sale and leaseback transaction results in finance lease, if the sale and leaseback transaction results in finance lease beta, profit or loss should be deferred. So the answer beta is option B. Next beta, if it results in an operating lease and it is clear that the transaction is established at fair value, recognize immediately. समझ में आ रहा है? कितने रे? Next beta, N Limited has entered into lease agreement for machinery from S Limited for 10 years for rupees 1 lakh per year. Guaranteed scrap value of machinery after 5 years is 0.5 lakhs. Unguaranteed scrap value is 0.2 lakhs. Present value of 1 lakh for 10 years is 7 lakh. Present value of 0.5 lakhs is 0.18. This should have been after 10th year, no? ये क्या है भाई? लीज पीरियड 10 साल है. स्क्रैप ये बेटा ये सब 10-10 साल कर दो. 10th year. Anyways, present values are given. Who cares beta? We are not computing present values, no? They're asking us to compute unearned finance income. How do you compute unearned finance income? Gross investment in lease minus. अब समझ में आया बेटा? पास परसेंटेज क्यों ऊपर नीचे होता है? पढ़ते समय सब इजी रहता है. Gross investment in lease beta includes MLP plus UGRV. MLP beta is 1 lakh for how many years? 10 years. Plus GRV कितना है बेटा? 0.5. UGRV is 0.2. So gross investment in lease is 10.7. Net investment in lease beta is present value. So that will be 7 plus 0.18 plus 0.07. 7.25. In दोनों का difference beta will become unearned finance income. The difference between gross investment in lease and net investment in lease beta will become your unearned finance income. Any doubt in this? Copy kar rahe, disturb na kar. Guys, that NIL is not nil. It is. बाद में डाउट पूछोगे फोटो भेज के, सर आप nil is equal to कुछ तो लिखे, ये nil क्या है बोल के. Now, what is the accounting treatment for initial direct cost incurred by lessor to earn revenues from an operating lease? Initial direct cost beta incurred by lessee in respect of a finance lease beta will be added to the cost of the asset in relation to operating lease. You can either defer it guys or recognize it as an expenditure. Choice is yours. Either A or B. हो गया बेटा? Next. The difference between gross investment in lease guys and present value of MLP and unguaranteed residual value. Unearned finance income. अभी ऊपर जो लिखे हैं. अब ये 14th और 15th थोड़े अलग है बेटा, ध्यान देना. N Limited has taken a lease of land from S Limited for 15 years, following other terms of lease agreement. N Limited is to make a payment of 1 lakh rupees for 15 years. N Limited will reimburse 10,000 tax to S Limited every year. N Limited makes petrol pump on the land. Then it has to pay 50,000 extra every year. N Limited is not sure about petrol pump. N Limited has the option to purchase land for extra 10 lakhs after the end of the lease. However, we are not sure about purchase of land. How much is MLP? The only thing that we are sure about beta is paying 1 lakh for how many years? That is MLP. ठीक है, बाकी पूरे payments beta are not minimum lease payments, and it is not asking us for present value. It is asking us only MLP. PV of MLP अगर पूछा बेटा, you are supposed to discount it. Next question और ये question में एक ही difference है बेटा, ये that it is beneficial for N Limited to purchase land. Underline that. That is why beta you will now include 1 lakh for 15 years and also GRV beta of 10 lakhs, residual value of 10 lakhs. It will be beneficial for us beta to purchase the land. That means we are going to pay that 10 lakh rupees. Are we clear about this? AS 19 lease is applicable on the following leases. Guys, first वाला जो है बेटा, it is natural resources. It is not covered under any accounting standard. Wasting assets, are they covered under any accounting standard? No. Point C beta is intangible assets. They cannot be covered by lease agreements. They come under AS 26 guys. Lease agreements to use land per se as such beta are not included directly. So what is included beta is, they have given us a direct definition of lease beta. Lease is nothing but where one owner as such beta will convey to the other party as such guys right to use an asset. Next beta, a machinery was given on 3 years lease by dealer of a machine for equal annual lease rentals to yield 20% profit margin on cost of the machinery, which is 3 lakh rupees. Economic life of the machinery is 5 years and the estimated output from the machinery is 5 years is as follows. We did the exact same question in class guys. All of you made mistakes back then also. They're not asking us to compute expenditure beta to be transferred to P&L account. What they're asking us as such beta is how much should we pay every year. Total cost कितना है बेटा machine का? Cost is 3 lakhs. What is the profit that we need? 20%. So how much should be recovered beta? Total amount to be recovered over 5 years. Total amount to be recovered guys over 5 years. कितना हो जाएगा? 3,60,000. Based on output guys, how much should be the amount for first 3 years? Based on output, amount for first 3 years beta. First 3 years का output beta is 1,50,000. Next 2 years का output is 1,50,000. That means total output beta is, so amount for first 3 years will be 3,60,000 into 1.5 lakhs by 3 lakhs, which is 1,80,000. This 1,80,000 you are paying equally over 3 years. So how much will be your rental every year? 60,000. This is what you will pay. This is not what you will book as expenditure. What will you book as expenditure? 1,80,000 into 50,000 by 1,50,000 in the ratio of output. Lease rentals should be booked as expenditure in the proportion, in the pattern of economic benefits. If such pattern cannot be established, then you will do it on a straight line basis. Isn't this pattern beta clearly established? Where will the difference go? Lease equalization adjustment account. 2 minute answer ना हो गए बच्चों को टेंशन आ जा रहा. The difference that is transferred to an account called as lease equalization adjustment. We did the exact same question. Do not worry, but whenever you revise AS 19, you will come across this question. क्या हुआ जीतू और अभिनव? टेंशन आता ही नहीं अपन को. आता नहीं लेते ना टेंशन. पागल है पढ़ने वाले. हमारी जिंदगी में किक रहना मतलब लास्ट मिनट पढ़ना. स्टार्टिंग से पढ़े तो क्या किक रहता लाइफ में? क्या कृष्णम? Which of the following guys is not covered within the scope of AS 26? Intangible assets held for sale in the ordinary course of business. Is that an intangible asset or an item of inventory? Item of inventory. Assets arising guys from employee benefits. AS 15, fair value of assets. A and B both are not covered guys. Research and development, is it covered under AS 26? Of course yes. Intangible is recognized as an asset guys if it should satisfy the definition of intangible and it should also meet recognition criteria. Sun Limited has purchased a computer with various additional softwares. Softwares are an integral part of computer. Which of the following is true? Whenever beta tangible and intangible portion are inseparable, what will you do beta? Go by the predominant element. यहाँ पे obviously it is assumed beta that computer is the predominant element. That is why you will end up recording that as a tangible asset. I gave the example of laptop, which comes with the built-in operating system. You do not record operating system, you record laptop. समझ में आया guys? Next beta. Hexa has developed a technology to enhance the battery life of mobile devices. Hexa has capitalized development expenditure of 5 lakhs. It estimates the life of technology developed to be 3 years. But has forecasted that 50% of sales will be in year 1, 35% in year 2, 15% in year 3. Amortization method guys under AS 26. It should be done on a straight line basis unless there is a pattern which better represents the economic benefits. Here don't we have that pattern of economic benefits? So how much will be the amortization for second year? 5 lakhs into 35%. AS 26 is applicable to, is it applicable to deferred tax asset? No. Is it applicable to financial assets? No. Is it applicable to goodwill arising on amalgamation? Yes. Rights under licensing agreement for films as beta is an intangible asset. Netflix वालों के लिए. Which of the following beta expenditure can be capitalized? Major advertisement, can you capitalize? No. Advertisement expenditure can never be capitalized. Something that was initially recognized as an expenditure, can you now capitalize? Past expenditure can never be subsequently capitalized. Expenditure on training expenditure, can you capitalize? No. Subsequent expenditure beta which will enhance future benefit expenditure. Yes. An entity purchases a license for 12 years. However, entity estimates that the license can be used only for 8 years. So what should be the amortization period? Which of the following expenses can be capitalized as per AS 26? Activities aimed at obtaining new knowledge. Research expenditure cannot be capitalized. Research बोल के लिखो वहाँ पे. Guys, aimed at obtaining new knowledge मतलब we do not know guys whether the end results exist or not. Yes or no? Search for alternatives of products. Still research expenditure cannot be capitalized. Internally generated intangible cost cannot be measured. Internally generated intangibles can be capitalized guys only if cost can be measured. So बचा क्या बेटा? See, highlighted वाला. Next guys, as per AS 26 there's a reputable presumption that the useful life of intangible asset will not exceed. Gujarat government has provided X Limited license to operate radio for 1 lakh rupees for 5 years. Market value of the license is 10 lakhs. X Limited incurred 50,000 as initial direct cost for operating the license. In case you are directly receiving an asset from the government guys at a subsidized rate, you will directly record that asset at that subsidized rate. So 1 lakh plus 50,000. Market value not relevant. Did we do this yesterday also under AS 12? Next. Gain or loss arising from the sale of an intangible beta will be transferred to? Crazy guys. If there is an indication that an asset may be impaired but the recoverable amount of the asset is more than the carrying amount of the asset, the following are true. What will you do guys? You should review. कल ही पढ़ाया था ना, ये भी डिस्कस किए थे. You are still supposed to review beta amortization, मतलब depreciation method, useful life beta and residual value guys as per AS 10. In case goodwill appears in the balance sheet of an entity guys, the following is true. If you can allocate goodwill on a reasonable basis, you only perform bottom-up test. If goodwill cannot be allocated, you should perform both bottom-up and top-down test. याद है bottom-up and top-down test as per AS 28? You first arrive at the carrying amount guys of individual CGUs, impair them and then perform top-down test and then impair only goodwill. After that only corporate assets. If goodwill cannot be allocated on a reasonable basis. If goodwill can be allocated better, entire impairment loss will first be adjusted against goodwill. Balance amount will be adjusted against all assets including corporate assets in the ratio of their written down value. Next beta, same corporate assets bhi wohi hai beta. You have to apply both bottom up and top down test if they cannot be allocated. In case of reversal of impairment loss, which statement is true? Goodwill in relation, goodwill ka impairment loss beta can be reversed only if, what is that certain conditions? If it is on account of a specific external event and that specific external event beta has reversed. Read the following statements given. Goodwill cannot be tested for impairment without allocation to CGU. Incorrect. If goodwill beta can be allocated, can't you test for impairment beta there only? Corporate assets cannot be tested for impairment. Dono incorrect beta. Guys, there are two scenarios. They can be allocated. Anything is possible. Next beta. AS 15 mein gratuity and pension guys are examples of post employment benefit. ये next वाला important mark करना बेटा. Non accumulating compensating absence is commonly referred to as casual leave. The plans that are established by government are called as state plans. याद है लास्ट में पढ़ाया था. Best estimates of the variable case to determine the eventual cost of post employment benefits is referred to as actuarial assumptions. If there are any actuarial gains or losses, what should you do? Transfer them to P&L account immediately. First bit better. Which of the following best describes a provision? Provision is a liability of uncertain timing or amount. Provision is a possible obligation. Underline the word possible. Incorrect. Provision is a credit balance to set up to offset a contingent asset. Chal. Provision is a possible obligation. Incorrect. Provision is a liability of uncertain timing. We do not know when will be the outflow and we do not know what is the exact amount. We need to estimate. X company is in a business that sells second-hand cars. If a car develops a fault within 30 days of the sale, X company will repair it free of charge. On 1st March 2021, X company has made a provision for repairs of 25,000. On 31st March, it calculated the provision to be 20,000. If provision reduces, what should you do? Reverse the provision, transfer it to P&L account. Next, which of the following statements, following item describes possible obligation that arises from past events whose existence will be confirmed only by occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more future uncertain events? Contingent liability. Next wala already कर चुका हूँ बेटा मैं yesterday only. You should make a provision for legal cost. कल किए थे बेटा अपन. Legal cost to be incurred irrespective of the outcome of the case is 50,000. Settlement beta, if required to be paid, is 5 lakhs. Did we do the same MCQ yesterday? Next beta. AS 29 is applicable in making provisions from which of the following cases? What is an onerous contract? The benefits that are to be derived beta from the contract, guys, is less than the cost that will be incurred as such, guys, in meeting the obligations. I gave an example of lease agreement, guys. You have taken a lease agreement as such better, but then you shifted your premises, but you still have to continue paying rent on the old premises. That will be considered as an onerous contract. Next. Yeah, that is nothing but the definition of provision, guys. Okay. Next. What should be the accounting treatment of income which is virtually certain? Virtually certain is a word that is used in AS 29. Whenever a contingent asset as such better becomes virtually certain of being realized, you should transfer that to P&L account. You credit P&L account and recognize the asset. Warranty claims normally require provision. Next, guys. A company dealing in hazardous goods makes a provision for social welfare expenditure if it is to be made mandatory as per new law. Till 31st March, it was not mandatory. On 10th May, Minister made an announcement for developing the new law. On 12th September, both the houses of parliament approved it for presidential approval. On 20th September, President approved the new law. So you'll have to make a provision beta on 29th September. But practically speaking, guys, अगर 12th September के बाद में और 29th September के पहले तुम लोग financial statements बना रहे हो, auditor नहीं सुनने वाला है. You will still have to make a provision, mandatory. Auditor will say it is virtually certain that the law will be passed. Because in many cases, beta, president approval is only a formality. President will not send back as such, guys. समझ में आ रहा है? Are we clear, guys? It is not like beta law is passed by the Delhi Assembly beta and has been sent to the governor as such, guys, for approval. Because वहाँ पे beta oppositions में दोनों. इसलिए they will be keep sending back the bills as such. Approve नहीं करते. वो कल से वो भी problem नहीं आता अभी. BJP जीतने वाला है ना. XYZ Limited beta has a likely liability of 10 crores for which it is considering to create provision in the books of accounts. However, if liability materializes, XYZ Limited is entitled to sell an asset of rupees 1 crore. What should be the accounting treatment of that 1 crore while recognizing provision in books? Provision बनाना है. वो provision के लिए बेटा, in case वो liability आ रही है, then we will also be able to sell an asset. I did this question under AS 9 also. We are supposed to deliver the goods as such, guys, in the first month of April. In case we do not do that as such better, we will have to pay a penalty of 1 crore rupees. On sale of goods, we are expected to make a profit of 50 lakhs. So while creating a provision for penalty, we should ignore the profit better on sale of goods, because we do not know, guys, whether we will be able to sell that inventory or not, whether we will be able to manufacture that inventory. What we are very sure of is that we have to pay the penalty. So you should make a provision, guys, for that. You should ignore that gain. Are we clear? Market. ताकि तुम्हारे बाद में. A company has made a provision for rent liability of rupees 10 crores and interest provision beta of 1 crore. However, court made an order to the company to pay 8 crores rent and 1.5 crores interest. So provision of rent beta was 10 crores, but actual liability is only 8 crores. What will you do? Reverse 2 crores. Interest provision originally 1 crore, now 1.5 crores. Provide 0.5 crores. Next, guys. An entity has made a provision for insurance liability of rupees 5 crores. Company has a policy to recover its insurance expenses from its dealers. What will be the accounting treatment if the recovery amount will be 6 crores or 4 crores? So if the recovery amount is 6 crores better, you still have to show a receivable of only 5 crores. You cannot record profit as such better in advance. That's the only difference. All right. Mark कर लिए ना, ये भी अलग है. Contingent liability beta will be disclosed under notes to accounts. Next guys, AS4. Can you all continue reading guys? I'll be back in a minute. Online students continue reading beta. फटाफट पढ़ते जाओ आगे bits. All right guys. देख लिए बेटा पूरे क्वेश्चंस. नॉर्मल है ना AS4 के, कुछ है अलग है. I'm not discussing them, but I'm assuming that you're all done with the questions of AS4. All right guys. थर्ड वाला बेटा. AS4 does not apply to. All right guys. ये जो रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट प्लान सच गाइस है, तो बेसिकली इंश्योरेंस एंटिटीज है सच गाइस, और pension funds as such guys, for them normal accounting standards as such guys, obligations will not apply. That is why guys it says that they're not applicable to all of them. And if it's a lease contract as such guys, it will be directly covered under AS 19. Earlier beta AS 24 guys not only covered events occurring after balance sheet date, it also covered contingencies and provisions. In fact, even now the name of the standard beta is contingencies and events occurring after the balance sheet date. इसीलिए because there were things related to provisions as such guys, provisions related to any of these things were not included in the accounting standard. Subsequently AS 29 आ गया बेटा, which is an exclusive standard only for provisions and contingencies. Even under AS 29 beta, these are not covered. You'll be like, you go by the specific accounting. You cannot ask insurance entities to provide as such beta based on this. समझ में आ रहा है? In fact beta you will learn, see, जब तुम अभी तो नहीं, if you do industry specific standards, it is mandatory for insurance entities to create something called as unexpired risk reserve. If they collect premium and even if one day coverage as such beta extends to the next financial year, there is something called as unexpired risk reserve. Marine insurance के लिए 100% है, दूसरों के लिए 50% है. 100% of the premium amount as such beta should be transferred to a separate account. So those are all specific regulations as per IRDA beta. मतलब they have to protect the industry as such guys. So obviously regulator will decide कितना क्या करना है. That is why AS 29 says sorry we will not cover all of those things. Is that clear? Guys, आगे के भी बेटा questions are all pretty simple only as such guys. थोड़े तो बेटा direct chapters based है आगे के. I don't think there should be any problem as such beta in covering those. एक second, I'll just check if there's something. Alright guys, I don't think beta there is any difficult bit or anything as such beta. 14 sides है, बाकी के जो cover नहीं कर रहा हूँ अभी, will you be able to do it them? It will barely take half an hour or 1 hour as such beta, but जब भी तुम लोग पढ़ रहे हो guys, just solve those questions. Alright? Yes or no guys? एक second. We will now start off guys with September 24 का paper. Do I have it? Yes, I have it. Alright guys.